Good morning. A brief announcement as we begin. Family would like to welcome guests to join them at their home at 186 Peckham Street Northeast in Palm Bay after our service today. There'll be food and drink and remembrance. There are some papers on the table with the address, so after the service you can pick those up if you don't already have one. And the Hileman family thanks you for coming today to pay their tribute to Richard, and as we begin our remembrances and the sharing of that. Life is a journey, and we travel through each day of life as though it were a trip, a beginning and an end for each day. We hope, we plan, we look forward to what is ahead, and we enjoy the present, and we remember the good times of the past, trying to forget those that aren't so good. And as we travel the road of life, we encounter some surprises along the way. We had unexpected hardships as well as joys, delays, and smooth sailing, problems and solutions. Nancy Wood is an author and anthropology researcher whose major theme and influence in her work was the Native American culture of the southwestern United States, particularly in the Taos Pueblo Indians of New Mexico and southwestern Colorado. Nancy's written several books on the culture, and such of the poems and the prose conveying unique philosophy from that culture. And in her book, Many Winters, she writes this: "Today is a very good day to die. Every living thing is in harmony with me. Every voice sings a chorus within me. All beauty has come to rest in my eyes. All bad thoughts have departed from me. Today is a very good day to die. My land is peaceful around me. My fields have been turned for the last time. My house is filled with laughter. My children have come home. Yes, today is a very good day to die." And today, you and I, we pause for a moment in a journey of life to celebrate and to remember Rick, or sometimes known as Ricky, Hileman, a man whose roles in life include son, brother, uncle, engineer, warrior, husband, father, and grandfather. We pause to be grateful today for having been able to walk the road of life with him, for having the privilege of knowing and of sharing life with him. Today we gather some of your memories to be shared. We come here with your own stories of travels, of encounters, remembrances. We gather to share those memories and experiences of this man. Rick was born on January 16th in 1947, departed from our midst on December 13th of 2023. He's survived by his wife Paula, by children and grandchildren, his mother, his sister, brother, nieces, nephews, and cousins, and his father preceded him in death. He served his country honorably in the United States Air Force for 6 years. His life's work consisted of working as an electrical engineer for the defense contractors, some of whom were in the South Pacific Islands. He was an avid follower of science, found joy in all aspects of nature, including a storm like today. At this time, I would like to pause and invite those from the family and anyone else, but the family first, to share with us the remembrances, however that comes across. I believe we're going to start with the eulogy.
Yes, sir. This moment is something I have been told to prepare for since I was a little kid. and I never fully understand how difficult this was going to be until today. But it was also not until today that I realized how strong of a support network I have. Every one of you being here means more to our family than you know, and from the bottom of our hearts, we thank you for being here today. When I was 11 years old, my dad was diagnosed with lung cancer, and just about every doctor told him to count his days. His days. Since then, he was diagnosed with lymphoma, brain cancer, and heart disease. All along, still told he likely wouldn't make it through treatment, and they actually advised against him continuing to fight. The weight of this news from experts in their fields would have taken down any man, any grown man I know, except for my father. Today we're celebrating the life of a man who was a fighter and beat all odds to be there for his family. How he did it, I still do not understand. But I do know that every time he was delivered bad news, his first response was always, "I don't think the doctors know what they're talking about." Never believed he was sick, just about any time. My dad was stubborn like that, and yes, I know I got that from him. I honestly have no memories from my childhood where my dad hired somebody for anything around the house. If something was broken, he fixed it himself. And if it needed to be created, he figured out a way to build it. There were, however, the poor lawnmen and pool cleaning guys he hired after I went to college. They were all fired and rotated pretty often, as my dad had expectations of how things should be done. I remember all of my school projects he helped me with. One in particular was we built this trebuchet that threw a golf ball with only a 10-pound weight. And my dad and I's design came in first place, and our golf ball actually went further than everyone's distance in the class combined. It was very impressive. He was a true genius when it came to working with his hands, and I don't think there's anything he didn't understand how it worked, and if he didn't, he would figure it out pretty easily. He was beyond impressive. We had a lot of fun hobbies together. Gas-powered RC cars, boats, bottle rockets, go-ped scooters, and it was at least weekly, if not daily, I was breaking something. He was always there to buy what was needed to fix it, but his rule was he always encouraged me to learn to do it myself. He had a very strong dedication to making me handy and taught me everything he knew. I'm very grateful. He was a patient father and wanted to pass on his gift to me. He was also a very simple man. In his eyes, there was no better vehicle than a 2001 Dodge Grand Caravan. And this was simply because you could fit a full sheet of plywood in the back with the door closed. When it came to going to a nice family dinner, Shell's or Red Lobster was top of the line. He would lather up his Brute cologne and wanted nothing better than some Evan Williams in his Manhattan. We were fortunate to have him with us for college graduations, my sister's wedding, the birth of her 3 beautiful children. Major life milestones and accomplishments. And just weeks before he passed, we celebrated in Pennsylvania his mom's 100th birthday in person with her. These are just a few of many memories I have with my dad. All the memories doctors told my family we would likely never have, but we did. And no matter how he was feeling inside with all odds against him, he always showed up for his family. He had the most contagious smile on his face after telling a joke, and you would rarely hear him complain about a situation. He loved nothing more than spending time with his family, eating a huge bowl of chocolate ice cream and watching reruns of MASH.
Yeah, that's true.
And it was him. I miss him deeply, but will forever cherish all the moments I never expected to have. I'm the man I am today because of him, and that is something that can never be taken from me. I love you, Dad. And my mom found this, I'm not much into poetry, but this beautiful poem that is just, every time we try to read it together, makes us Very emotional, so I'm going to do my best. It's called God's Garden, and we find it very appropriate for the situation of our family currently. God looked around his garden and found an empty place. He then looked down upon earth and saw your tired face. He put his arms around you and lifted you to rest. God's garden must be beautiful. He always takes the best. He saw the road was getting rough and the hills were hard to climb, so he closed your weary eyelids and whispered, "Peace be thine." It broke our hearts to lose you, but you didn't go alone. For parts of us went with you the day It broke our hearts to lose you, but you didn't go alone. For parts of us went with you the day God called you home. Thank you for coming today.
Invite anyone else from the family or friends if you'd like to come forward now and share your remembrances. I like to call these times remember whens. I remember when, I remember, and if any of you would like to come forward now and share that at this time, you're invited to do so. One of the favorite songs that Rick has and listened to often was called "What a Wonderful World" by Louis Armstrong. I think we're all familiar with it, but it's nice to pause and to listen to those words once again.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying how do you do. They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry. I watch them grow. Still like much more. And I never knew. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Ooh, yeah.
Rick specifically requested this song to be played at this gathering today because it reflects on how he felt about life, even as it interrupted as well as interpreted his surroundings. This song reflects appreciating life and our own surroundings, That's to say, to grow where you're planted. Think of green trees, of red roses blooming. Think of blue skies and white clouds. Think of bright days that are blessed and nights that are sacred. Remember the colors of the rainbow in the sky and on the faces of people that are passing by. See friends shaking hands, saying, "How do you do?" while actually saying, "I love you." Hear babies crying, watch them grow, get excited about how they'll learn so much more than you will ever know. And think about it and say, "Oh yeah, it really is a wonderful world." A thought that's continued in the song that's made famous by Josh Groban, "You Raise Me Up." That's the way Rick saw relationships, your relationships with each other. Raising each other up so you can stand on mountains rather than being crushed by them. So you can walk on and through your stormy seas together. Raising each other up, helping each other to bail out your sinking boats in the storms of life. Raising each other up to be more than you could ever be by yourselves. I'd like to share with you some closing thoughts today. You've been sharing and hearing about experiences. You'll continue to share those experiences today. Your stories. I remember this, I remember that. The roles that were unique to him, and a specific kind of relationship between you and him that no one else had, just you and him. As I've said before, Rick's roles in life included being a son, a brother, an uncle, engineer, a warrior, a husband, father, grandfather. I believe this poem by an unknown author may express how that worked out itself with the family and his role specifically as a grandfather. The title of this poem is Grandfather Kept a Garden. Our grandfather kept a garden of the heart. He planted all the good things that gave our lives a start. He turned us to the sunshine, encouraged us to dream, fostering and nurturing the seeds of self-esteem. When the winds and the rain came, he protected us all through, but not too much, because he knew we would stand up strong and tough. His constant good example always taught us right from wrong, markers for our pathway that will last a lifetime long. Yes, we are our grandfather's garden because we are his legacy. And so after a person passes from our sight, the impact of his knowledge, his values, his sacrifices live on in the lifestyles of family love and relationships with friends. And that's why you've gathered here today, to lift up in your collective memory the life and the love of Rick Hileman, to remember with appreciation his struggles, his joys, his character, and to do that as his family. We would not let Rick Hileman fade from our memory without this penetrating moment when deep calls to deep, and we listen to what your grandfather is saying to you today. For he has taught you about the values, he's taught you about morality, he's taught you about the importance of treating your fellow human beings with love and with kindness. He's taught you to expect no less of others than you would expect of yourselves. He's taught you not to accept incompetence in others, nor in yourself. He's taught you to expect the best while preparing for the worst, and then accepting what comes with hope and with perseverance. What follows now is a ceremony that sums up what we've been saying today. Most veterans you talk to today will say, hey, I was just doing my job. And that's true. And it's because of that we can say of all veterans who, like Rick Hileman, made and continue to make the United States of America the home of the free because of the brave.
Detail, tinge hut, step. If able, please stand for the playing of taps. You may be seated. on behalf of the President of the United States, the United States Air Force, and a grateful nation. Please accept this flag as a symbol of our appreciation for your loved one's honorable and faithful service.
This concludes the services. I would like to remind you that everybody is invited back to the family residence at 186 Peckham Street Northeast in Palm Bay. I'd also like to remind you that if you didn't sign the register book as you came in, please do so before leaving. This time everyone's dismissed. If you'd like to come forward and speak with the family before leaving, please feel free to do so. Thank you.
Let's go wash your hands. Okay. Come on.
That's what it is. Well, we got through it, right?
You played the role very well. Christina, you know Melissa Flavel, now Melissa Harris. This is her mom, Tracy, who lives in Melbourne. Melissa took time from Tallahassee. So her mom came on her. She went to West Shore as well. And then she was 2 years ahead of Melissa and I. She's a, yeah, so she's a West Shore grad. But then she lives in Orlando and our kids have become close friends with each other. So Melissa probably wasn't close with Christina, but we all kind of knew each other in a school that small. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for coming. Enjoy your last day with me.